Hi, welcome into the McManus Webcast right here at SuckItUpUSA.com. Great to be here, great to be alive, and hope you feel the same. I'm with my good friend, Mr. Bob Goin, former athletic director at Florida State University and University of Cincinnati, and current Harris Bowl contributor. He joins me on Tuesdays right here on the webcast, talking all college sports, especially college football, with a lot going on. Bob, great to have you here at Mi Casa and part of the webcast again.
Yeah, you've got a beautiful place, a beautiful setting. Had a chance to meet your lovely wife and saw what couldn't understand her judgment, but it's good. Really good stuff.
It's funny. I'm waiting for the "you outkicked your coverage" comment. That's what Coughlin tells me every time he sees my wife. He's like, "Man, you really outkicked your coverage."
That's right. You really anteed up.
No doubt about that.
Good.
No
Good
doubt.
to be here.
It's great to have you. And I'll tell you this, last time Coach Coughlin told me that, I said, "You know what, Coach? So did you." And that's a great thing.
I think all of us did.
No doubt.
Great.
Absolutely. All right, a lot going on in the world of college football. We'll get to the BCS, Notre Dame in the title game. The other opponent remains to be seen. I do think you and I have throughout the year said, "I'll play itself out, but this season could use a playoff, without a doubt. And I think it's 8, Bob. We'll get into that. I think 4 is a good start, but I think we got to get to 8 eventually. But I want to talk about the hirings and firings that are now ongoing all throughout college football. And as a former athletic director, I know that's tough to let someone go, and then the process of finding that right someone to take the helm and follow in those footsteps, hopefully in better footsteps, because obviously getting fired, things weren't going that way. We see Tom O'Brien in North Carolina State. We saw Gene Chizik at Auburn, Frank Spaziani at Boston College, the Colorado head football coach. There'll probably be more coming down. But first of all, any surprises out of those 4?
I know Mike Bohn out of Colorado. They certainly had a terrible year. I'm not questioning about that. But I would just wonder if 2 years is enough to give a coach who comes into a program that wasn't very stable at all.
Yeah.
If that's really buying it, giving anybody a chance to buy in this system or any kind of recruit to come in, that's a quick trigger. And I caution against that, because when you hire somebody like that, your program's already in shape. You don't fire somebody if your program's in good shape.
You're right.
So when you bring somebody in, you're not going to get a coach who you're going to say you're only going to be here 2 years. Unless you say you're guaranteed 10-year salary, but we might be gone in 2. That might be a good deal for a coach to do.
Sure.
But the point is, I think that one might have been a trigger that I would say that's real quick. But the other ones you see, it's a tough market out there, Tom. It's the market for the people who come to your stadiums and to give money to the programs. They're rising costs.
Do we factor in now that you better look attractive? Right, with everything that's ongoing, the movement, teams go, programs going to different conferences, trying to get into the big conferences. You better be attractive at all times, right?
You really have to be, and the ones that are in those programs already, they can't stay in the bottom of it. They've got to carry their weight. And so you've got there's a lot of money being distributed, and everybody wants you to pay your share as you contribute to a family. So there is that. But the biggest thing is putting people in the seats, Tom, getting the boosters excited, getting the people it's a private, investment, and that pays for the other sports. I mean, the biggest thing is, an AD is just not about football. It's about, it's about getting enough revenue that you're not a lien on the university, and you pay for these other non-revenue sports. They're as we've talked about time and time again, are expensive, and you got to pay those bills. And the AD's held accountable to pay for it. He's out there on an island by himself.
Absolutely.
And he has to do that. So tough decisions, but takes good leadership. And I don't second guess who they hire. I don't second guess who they let go, because they're on the inside. Tough business.
And at the end of the day, it's on them, right? I mean, that's if you're not having successful programs, successful bottom line with the budgets at the end of the day. That's one thing I've learned since our time together. You're not only a CEO, but you're the CFO, you're the CIO. You're handling every bit of that business. Not just the one sport and all the sports. So there's a lot on your plate.
Our country and the private industry should be that way.
Agreed.
Our Congress ought to be that way.
Agreed.
I mean, if they can't balance a budget in Congress and they're spending more than the taxpayers are giving, they ought to be fired.
Yeah,
and they ought to be fired. And they ought to be on a short term. There's a 2-year term as far as I'm concerned. So if this whole theory, what you stand for, suck it up, a movement, no excuses, everything like that, if that applied from the president all the way down through society and every business, every public sector, bus drivers, everybody else, it would be athletics. There's a score.
Yeah.
And they go by a score. And it's easy to establish scores no matter what kind of industry you're in. If they don't meet that score and they don't meet those expectations, then somebody else ought to have a chance to do that.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Bob Goin here with us, former athletic director, current Harris Poll contributor. I've been through a coaching change on the collegiate level. Jack McNell, who I loved, he was a great person, a great coach, had a great run there. His time was up. I do believe that. They did make the move and in comes and enter Tom Coughlin into Boston College and into my life, and has been there ever since. A very big influence and a guy that I appreciate. He was a lot like my dad, that old school tough love. Hey, give it your best every single time, no excuses. You give it your all. He used to say, you're either getting better or you're getting worse. You don't stay the same. You've got to strive to be better. So I was all about that, but and it was a culture change. It was more of a military style run program when Tom Coughlin took over. Again, I had no problem with it, but was a culture change. Take us inside the mind of an AD. What happens now? The coach that was there, you have let go. Brad Bates up in Boston College made a comment. None of the assistants are candidates. We're going to look. We're going to find the right fit. What are what are the priorities for a Bob Goin? Is there tie to the school? Obviously their coaching career comes into effect. Have they had any issues? Who are their assistants? What's their plan? What's the criteria, the curriculum, if you will, to be Bob Goin's head football coach?
Well, I know, Tom. When we made our change, people do different things. Now they're getting these, headhunters to go out and find a coach, and they work with their agents. I didn't do that. I've never done that in my career. I did use some inside. I had a search committee and I had a selection committee, and the selection committee was me. But I had a search. I had a search committee which screened a lot of people. They filtered in there, and they did background checks. But it was done by the university personnel. Faculty and staff and everybody. I made that a nice group, and they split up and did all the background. Instead of paying somebody to do that, we did that, and then they would submit. And my names would be in there, but they would submit some names, and we talk about it and do it. I think the fit is the important thing. When I made my change to football coach at Cincinnati, it was about fit. Yeah. And when I went to Mark D'Antonio, he spent his whole career in Ohio. Yeah. He's recruited Ohio. Yeah. He was successful. He was successful, and with Jim Tressel, he had a terrific mentor, and they were very successful. And he spent his whole life either at Akron or Youngstown or at Ohio State. But he was there, and he knew all the high school coaches, and he was coming from a very good program. And so he was a fit that could come right in, recruit Cincinnati, recruit the whole thing, and lead us in a program. So I think everything comes down to it. And when Brad says that Boston, it's a good fit. Who's going to get the New England kids? Who's going to get those kids? Right. They're going to want to come to
believe in Boston College.
Believe in Boston College. So everybody has a different approach. Mine was highlighted on who could recruit Ohio, because now we're going to Big East, and we were going to be really competing. The only other school was Ohio State.
Ohio State,
They had 7 linebackers coming back. We wanted the best linebacker to come to Cincinnati, and gave us a market to do it.
Yeah, sure.
We were in a league that could get the BCS, so it's good. It's interesting.
One thing I don't think people factor in when it comes to hiring of head coaches, and this is any sport, any level, they tend to forget how important the interview process is. They think, it's just record. No, he's better. His record's better, or he's younger, or this is better. But we tend to take the interview process out And to me, that's the most important. You can have the best record, you can be well-liked and all of that, but I want to sit down and I want to hear your philosophy. I want to hear your culture. I want to hear how you're going to make those kids want to come to my school and play for this school, 110%. That's got to be first and foremost, right?
Yeah, we had personal interviews with 9 or 10 people, assistant coaches, the pros, offensive coordinators, and they come up there and they go on the blackboard. And they say, I'm going to do this, and we're going to throw here, and they can't cover this, and they can't cover that. Then I get a coach who comes in. From my way of school is, we're going to be great on defense.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a tight end.
Yeah.
We're not going to play. If you want to coach it, they're going to put 4 or 5 wide receivers out there and not going to run the ball.
Right.
You don't want me.
Right. Yeah.
Because we are going to run the football. We're going to play action pass. We're going to do what we're going to do from the shotgun, but we're going to start on defense, and we are going to block punch, and we're going to return. That's the kind of football I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
And was going through the people where everyone was excited about scoring 50 points, and then I had a guy come in and say, this is the fundamental things we're going to do.
Yeah.
So the interview, when that interview was over, I had 3 more interviews to do.
Yep.
But I knew that was my football coach that fit with me and fit with what we could do in a winter type of a setting in Ohio.
I've never coached before, but this is my first meeting, if I ever was one. O-line, D-line, quarterback in one room. I want them now. Yeah. And I want to tell them that they are the backbone of this team, and the way they play, others will follow. You have to be physical, you have to be tough, and you have to be great leaders, and I need it out of you. Your grouping's right there, because if you build within, Bob, everything else will come to light.
You're spending a lot of money on strength coaches, but it's in the heart, Tom.
Absolutely.
And you're reaching that in your programs. If you get your kids, all you can do is ask them to play to their best, and the right thing, put them in the right slots where they can be effective. It's not wishing they can do it.
Right.
It's
right.
proven that they can do it.
Yeah, that's talent evaluation.
But these ADs are pretty good, and they're out there. But I hope they don't get caught up in fluff. Presidents do.
Right.
I will tell you that. You could send a coach in there that doesn't know that there's 11 supposed to be out there on a punt return, but he could sweet talk that president of what they've done and what they'll do.
Yep.
But the key comes to the experience of the director, knowing that you can read through fluff and know where the meat is, and that this guy can produce. And it's not winning a press conference. It's not being a jokester. That day's going to come when he's on that sideline and the other guy's on that sideline. And that's what I want this guy to coach. I don't want him to be ready for the Dave Letterman show.
No, right.
I want him to be a football coach.
Absolutely.
And that goes every day of the week, and there's nothing funny about it. It's work.
Yeah, it is work. No doubt about that. Bob Goin here with me on the Tom McManus Webcast at SuckItUpUSA.com. There was a rumor that Gruden was potentially going to make a comeback into coach and leave the booth. And I saw Louisville and one other school, Tennessee, that he was kind of linked to. We'll have to keep our eye on that. I think it's always fun to see who gets what coach, where these new coaches go, and see what they can do, obviously, with their first year. But nonetheless, a lot of movement going on in the world of college football. All right, Bob, let's get to the BCS. We're getting closer. First, look, Notre Dame, congratulations. Based on the system, you deserve to be number one. Right. You kept winning. Other teams lost. You took advantage. You still had to go into USC. You still had to make some plays. You still had to find a way to beat Stanford. Do I think you're the clear-cut number one team in the country? No, I don't. I think I would like to see you against Georgia. I'd like to see you against Florida, Alabama, maybe even Oregon. Maybe this 18 playoff thing that I was talking about earlier. But first and foremost, congrats to Notre Dame. I think it's good for college football that the Fighting Irish are back in the national limelight.
Well, if you take Notre Dame's name out of it, because you're from Boston College.
I don't like Notre Dame.
Yeah, so,
you're right.
So take their name out of it. They started unranked.
Yeah.
They had a very good schedule.
Yeah.
And they kept winning, and you could say, well, they're lucky to win this one. They're lucky to win. Isn't it nice to be able to sit back? Yeah. But the other guy has to say I was unlucky.
Yeah. He
was lucky.
Yeah.
That team's either lucky or they're good.
Right.
But the bottom line is they had the will to win. Yeah. They won 12. That's all you could ask of them. They had a competitive schedule, so they have that. So you take that out and you put a name in there. You say they boy, this is an amazing year.
Yeah.
And so it is.
Yeah.
Now, are they the best team in the country? You're going to find out because they're going to play the winner of that
SEC championship.
SEC champ.
Yep.
Now, is Texas A&M better than either one of those two right now?
Yeah.
There's a question to be asked, but there's where you're talking about the playoffs, and I think you've got a good point.
You just hit the best point right now.
Yeah.
Because you're right, Texas A&M, they have 2 losses. There's no way they're getting into the title game based on their record. But
right.
If they were in an 18 playoff, they might be the best team playing right now, that's the NFL. And we love the NFL, right? It's who's playing the hottest, who's on, who's got that chemistry, who's got that momentum, who can really, take that momentum. And I lived it as a Jaguar. You see it every single year, and I think that's what people want out of college football. But I think that you're absolutely right. Right now, who knows? Maybe it is. Maybe it is.
2014, you're going to have 4. 2016, you're going to have 8.
Yep.
And then you're going to have these 4 conferences we've been talking about.
Yeah.
And they're watering down. They're going to water down the ACC if they can do it. I don't know what's going to happen, but there's still movement, and movement's going to come here this week.
Yeah.
Probably before this week's over.
I know.
There's going to be more movement.
Well,
so I think we pretty much know the Big East is done, and and now they're attacking the ACC to see who they can take from that.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have those 4 conferences.
Absolutely.
They're going to be relevant.
Yeah.
And they're going to do it. So I think it's an interesting time. And there's money out there, and that's driving it. There's no question.
I'm waiting for the Big 12 to make a move. Or we keep thinking that ACC is going to be the 5th one out, but maybe it's them. Maybe they're the ones that go into these other conferences. Because ACC does get Pitt and Syracuse. They're coming in. I know Maryland just left.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't know.
I don't know where those guys going to go.
My theory is that the Big 10 and the Big 12 and the SEC have decided they're not going to take anybody from either one of those 3.
No,
they're going to go. They're going to pick out of the ACC and make them down where they're not a player anymore. That's what. If I were in the ACC sitting in that AD chair in there, I'd be so fearful of that and tell them this. Say, let's take the worst case scenario. If they water us down, if they get Florida State or Clemson or Virginia Tech to leave, then they've got those 4. They got those 4 conferences, and we're not a player anymore.
Yeah.
And I think, and if you replace them, their problem is who you're going to replace them with, and who's sexy enough out there to give them national state. They're solid for the rest of their lives.
Right.
They got Notre Dame for 5 games, but not for their champion.
Right.
So I just think there's a lot of movement going on. I think it's going to be an 18 playoff eventually.
Yeah.
And I think it'll answer this question.
Oh, without a doubt. And hey, as far as the networks go, Notre Dame, Alabama, I read in a business journal that it'll be the highest ever.
That's right.
Because of Notre Dame,
Absolutely.
and Alabama and what they bring to the table. What was your top 5 in the Harris poll this week? How did you have them?
I had, in my Harris poll, I had Notre Dame, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, and Oregon.
Okay. You can't have Ohio State in there, right? Because they're not eligible for it.
You can't have them in there.
Yeah.
You can't have them in. And that, so they've never been ranked, but that was my top 5.
That day, I thought.
I had Texas A&M. I think 6.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're 9th in the BCS and 10th in the AP, but you're right. They may be playing their best football. I thought Florida really showed a lot against Florida State. Now, Florida State, obviously, there's chinks in that armor, but overall, I thought Florida came to play. It was kind of sloppy early, but they capitalized on that sloppiness. And hats off to Will Muschamp for, hey, too bad you lost, to South Carolina, but that is the glitch on your radar there, on your schedule, on your record. So
they lost to Georgia.
Yeah, I'm sorry, to Georgia, Jacksonville.
That's
my fault there.
That's right.
Yeah, and Will Muschamp just said that. He's like, hey, we had our chance in Jacksonville, and we didn't capitalize. Me too.
I like what he said. Again, you can be that way again after you just beat your arch rival in their backyard,
right,
in Florida State. And
absolutely,
they had a good game plan. And you could read their game plan, and I think Florida State got a little confused. But that's what makes it so great.
It is really great. It's fantastic.
You can go to somebody's backyard and win.
Yeah.
You can you have a chance. it's one day out of the year. You got to be better than the other one.
Right, right.
That's
How crazy would it have been if Notre Dame didn't beat USC? Florida would have been guaranteed pretty much a spot in the championship, not winning their conference, not even winning their division, much like Alabama a year ago.
That would have really been.
That would have been rough.
That would have caused some real
yeah.
indigestion among the BCS leaders, because this works out just perfect.
Yep.
We said earlier that I always felt that the winner of the SEC championship was going to be one half of it.
Yeah.
And that surfaced.
Yep.
And then you got Notre Dame now, and it's going to be an exciting January 7th.
Yeah.
And it's going to be very interesting. And I just don't know which between Georgia and Alabama. That's going to be one great.
It's going to be a great game. I can't wait to watch that.
I
mean, I don't really have a fight in this one, but it'd be great. I'm always the underdog and to see Georgia go up to Atlanta, or into Atlanta, I should say, and beat Alabama in the national or in the Southeastern Conference championship game. That'd be pretty outstanding for Rick and his whole
There's
crew.
people saying that Notre Dame would rather play Alabama.
Really?
Wow. Because they want to run the ball, and that's one thing Notre Dame stops.
Yeah, they're very physical.
And really, Georgia has a kid that he gets hot, and Murray.
Yeah.
He can give a passing attack where if there's a little weakness in the Alabama, they say it's their secondary.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if there's any weakness.
Johnny Manziel had a nice day.
And you give this guy, but you give Nick 30 days to get ready.
Yeah.
That's a different.
You're absolutely right.
Ballgame, so it's gonna be interesting.
I tell you, the one team that I think has an argument is Oregon, that they dropped so far based on that loss. Look, forget luck. They had plenty of other opportunities to win that ball game. However, I know it was at home, but they went to OT, and that tying, touchdown was controversial. And it wasn't like they got blown out. They got beat by a field goal. They dropped to 5, and now there's no way they can get back in whatsoever, even with the Pac-12 championship looming. I think there's an argument there. I don't feel bad for them by any means, but I think there is an argument there that, hey, could Oregon beat Florida right now? Possibly, absolutely, and vice versa. We don't know. Be nice to see on the field, obviously.
That's why the human vote is, when I cast my vote, I really cast it on the day I watched those games. On that Saturday, based on what I see, how I feel, not based on the strength of schedule, not based on anything. That's up to the computers to do.
Yep.
I just think where I am with Florida and Oregon played on a neutral field now, who would win? I think if I had lean right now, who's really hot and strong and physical, would be the Gators.
Yeah, Gators
But I'm not saying, but that's somebody else to decide that. But my thinking's the same way. Where would Texas A&M be?
Yeah.
I'd put them against Notre Dame today.
Right.
Right. In a playoff and say that'd be one great football game.
Yeah.
Right now, the way they're playing.
Yeah.
Now, that's only on that Saturday. It was last Saturday. I could change this Saturday.
You're right about that.
My final call. Whether I go public. I gotta go public.
You gotta go public?
Yeah, they can publish my votes. All our votes.
All right.
All people.
Yeah.
So they can see that there's no. That you're up and up. And,
no bias.
Yeah, they can see, Goin put Florida State 1, look, they got beat by Florida. I mean, well, that's not going to happen.
Right.
But the truth is, I think it's good.
Yeah, well, it is a great time of the year, no doubt about that. We just had a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. My friend Bob Goin here caught a touchdown pass in the family football outing. That is huge, and you showed me the route you ran. Very impressive, Bob.
Yeah,
very impressive. Covered that ground quick.
Actually, it was a slow motion. It was in slow motion because I wanted to make sure they got it on film. They got it. So it was it's fun. It's fun. It's a great time of year.
It is.
Now we're going into a very exciting time of year.
Absolutely.
With football and with Christmas coming on, and just a wonderful time.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Great football still to come. Alabama and Georgia in the Southeastern Conference Championship. Of course, Oregon and UCLA out in the Pac-12. Remains to be seen how that'll all shake down. But are you going Georgia, Bob? I'll let you go with making a prediction. You going Georgia? You think Alabama?
I am.
You're going to take Georgia?
I am going to take Georgia.
Right, I like it.
I think their time has come.
Okay.
I like their balance. Yep. I think, and they can play tough defense with anybody.
Yep.
And I think that it just might be their turn.
Yeah. You know what? I like the running attack. Aaron Murray, another year older. They are physical, and I think what they did to Georgia Tech, rolling them pretty darn well, pretty easily. They're going to go in with a lot of confidence. That's what makes football absolutely outstanding. Bob Goin, my guest on Tuesdays here. Thanks, Bob, once again for joining us on the Tom McManus Webcast. Hug the ones you love. Tell them you love them, because you never know what tomorrow is going to bring. When you get a chance, please check out all the great stories on the website, all the motivational videos, including Dose of Motivation that I do each and every week. Check out our store, and please visit our sponsor page, and you're one click away from entering any of those great businesses right here on the First Coast. Just hit the logo, takes you right into their website, and they are there for you. Great people, and even better, businesses as well. That'll do it for us right here on the Tom McManus Webcast. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you next time right here on the Suck It Up Network at suckitupusa.com.